toma, se la pasan diciendo que soy mala, porque no me aguanto drama de grandes a mi cama.
All right, so welcome back to your biology lesson. So today, without wasting much time, I'm going to start. So today I want to focus on this very deadly topic in the first section of your syllabus. We call it the dichotomous key. That's where I want to start today. Dichotomous key. Now, in your examination, you are most likely going to get this thing called the dichotomous key, and then you identify organisms using it, or you will be asked to construct your own dichotomous key. So that's why it's very important for me to teach you this topic. So first of all, what is a dichotomous key? Dichotomous key is basically a tool used to identify organisms. In terms of biology, we use it to identify organisms. We use it to identify organisms. Now, I don't really, most textbooks, they like using this word tool, which I don't really like, because if you tell students that it's a tool, they are going to think of something like a microscope, a test tube. It is not actually a tool. It is basically like a paper with sort of like a step-by-step guide. It guides you until you reach the name of the organism. It's like a step-by-step guide to identify organisms. It's basically a paper. Yeah, it has step-by-step features. So it has questions. It's like a paper with questions, and each question, let's say question number 1, it has 2 options. On each question you have 2 options, so you choose between those 2 options, and then you identify the organisms based on the options you see. So think of it like a true or false question. So you can be each question, like I said, has 2 options, like question 1 A, B, 2 the same thing also, A, B. Okay, so now let me not get into the details for now. I just wanted you guys to get an idea. So now let's move on to the actual stuff. You know what it is. Now let's go to the real stuff that you need to know for your syllabus. For your syllabus, you need to know how to construct. If you guys follow your biology syllabus, the new curriculum, you should be able to construct. And please take note, in your examination they are not always going to say construct a dichotomous key. They can use construct, they can say construct a symbol key. That's what they always say, a symbol key to identify the following organisms, and then you are given pictures of organisms, and then you construct your own key. Now, how do you construct? There are rules. For you to construct, there are simple rules that you need to know. The first and main rule is that you need to start the key by writing the number. Like for example, this, I said the tool has questions in it. You obviously has to start with the first question, which is you write 1, and then in brackets you put your number. That's for A. I said the key has 2 options, right? So meaning 1 needs to have A and B. So after you write 1A, you write 1B. That's the first rule. Start the key by writing 1A and 1B under each other. That's what you do in your examination. You write 1A, and then you put 1 again and a B inside, and the second letter inside brackets. And then once you are done with this, I will do one for you guys, don't worry. Once you are done, you write your question here. Has legs, organisms has legs. and then you put dots, go to 2 if it has legs, no has no legs, and then you say fish. It depends on the pictures that you are given. It does not matter. This is just an example. I'm just explaining the rules. The first rule says you should be able to write. You should always write the number first and then the letter in brackets. Each number is supposed to be repeated twice using different letters. 1A, 1B. Good. So when you are done with 1A and 1B, you go to 2. You do the same thing. 2A, 2B. I hope you get. That's the first rule of the dichotomous key. Now, second rule is that you should use clear. This is also very, very important. You use clear, divisible. Divisible, I mean you focus on the differences on the organisms, features that you see. You don't use things like it has lungs. No, you can't see the lungs. The lungs are obviously inside. You don't do those things. You use things that you can see, has legs, has no legs, things that you can see on the outside. Or you talk about the number of legs. Has 2 pairs of legs, has no legs at all. And also avoid using the shape, has a rectangular shape. No, we don't do that. I'm not saying you don't use it completely. Maybe when you're out of options, you are going to use it, but you should avoid it by all means. Okay, now next thing that we do it, I mean the third rule is that you should avoid using color. You don't use color in the dichotomous key. You should avoid using color, as color it can be very misleading, so we try to avoid that one. And also next one, you do not use size. Do not, no, let me not say do not, avoid using size. We avoid by all means to use size. Avoid using size. What does that mean? We avoid it, but you can use size only when qualified. Use it only when qualified. By qualified, it means only when you are given the size. Maybe let's say you have an organism and you are told that the size of its legs are like 10 centimeters. That's qualified. You are given a scale. When you're given a scale, you can use legs longer than 10 centimeters or legs shorter than 10 centimeters, or you can use your own ruler in the examination. You take a ruler, you measure the legs, you label that it's 10 centimeters, and then you can use size. But otherwise, you don't do things like small, this one is small, the other one is big. No, we don't do that. You only do that when qualified. It means when you have measured it, that it's really big. And if you are choosing to measure, you should be careful also. So that's why we avoid using size. Just maybe use size when you're when you are completely out of features to identify, then you can use size. But you need to take your own ruler, you measure it correctly, and then you can use the size. All right, hope that one is clear. Now the fourth and most important feature is, most important rule under the dichotomous key is you should be very specific. What do I mean by specific? Let's say you are given a centipede. You know, a centipede is, what do I say, that creature that has a lot of legs. So if you are given a picture of a centipede, instead of saying it has many legs, that's what I mean. You do not say it has many legs. You count the legs, count all of them, even if they are not clear, and then you say it has more than, let's say, 20 legs or less than 20 legs. You do not say it has many legs. Avoid using these words, many legs, many whatever, many eyes. No. If it has, like, let's say 4 eyes, you say more than 3 eyes. As you see, it has 4, so it's more than 3. Or you can say less than 3 if there are others that have less than 3. So be specific. Avoid using the words many legs, many whatever, many eyes, and all that. So you should be very, very specific with the number. Instead, choose you just use the words more than 10 or less than 10. More than or less than. Those are the main key focus here. More than or less than. Good. Now, the next feature is that you should avoid grouping. You should avoid grouping more than one feature at the same time. Avoid grouping more than one feature at the same time. For example, if you talk about legs, you cannot say it has legs and then you say it has wings here. No. If you choose to talk about legs, talk about legs in each question. If you focused on legs here, then you are done with the legs. In the next question, you are not going to talk about legs again. That's another rule also. Avoid repeating the same feature again and again. First of all, you should avoid using more than two features in one question. If you talk about legs, focus on legs. If you're talking about wings, focus on wings in a question. And you cannot talk about wings in the first question and then later on, let's say in question 3, you talk about wings again. That's another rule. Avoid grouping more than two features in one question. And avoid repeating the same feature. I'm sorry, I'm just rushing. I have something to do. More avoid repeating features. Let me just say features. Avoid repeating features. All right, now another rule is that, let's say you are given, if you are given, let's say if you are given four pictures in your examination, the number of questions should be one less than the number of organisms given to you. What do I mean by that? If you have 4 organisms given to you to use to construct your dichotomous key, you should what? Have only 3 questions to identify all those 4. The number of questions in your dichotomous key should be 1 less than the number of organisms given to you. If you are given 5 organisms, then you should have 4 questions. If you are given 6 organisms, then you should have 5 questions. I hope that one is clear. I've run out of space here. And last but not least, if possible, please, in each question like this, try to identify at least 1 organism at the end of each question. Try to do that if possible, only if possible. It's not a must, but only if possible. Now, that wraps it up for the dichotomous key. I hope that one is clear. Now, without wasting time, I wanted to do an example for you guys. So, in 2020, the biology paper, the new curriculum, had a dichotomous key for us, lucky enough. So I'm going to do that as an example, and then yeah, that will conclude the lesson for today. Okay, so I'm going to put this aside. Going to put that aside, and here is the question paper for, I hope you guys can see. You were given this question paper in your examination 2020. Yes, it was, this question was in, yeah, this one was for 2020 exam. So I'll try my best to see if I have enough space here. So we are going to construct a dichotomous key on this one. Now I want to use this as an example. If you guys can see, you have a goat, you have a chicken, you have a fish, and a frog. Now let's start. Now the very first tip I always give my students is that label. Once you get a dichotomous key in your examination, try to label things that you can see right away. Like immediately, what do you see? You can see here you have 4 legs, isn't it? Number of legs here, there are 4. Those are things you can see. You have 2 here, What else? You have feathers. You know a chicken is covered in feathers. This one you have fur. You have fins here. Try to label with a pencil just the things that you can see so far. And then you have four, how do I say this, four limbs, or just, let's just say moist. On the frog you can say moist. Skin. And also you can talk about the four limbs. It has four limbs. Try your best to make things easy for yourself, okay? Now let's construct based on that. So obviously, now one thing I always say is this, if you have a bunch of organisms, as you are identifying, you do what? You eliminate the ones that you identified. Okay, so I'm going to start with the goat. The goat, I can see, I can either talk about this, the legs, but let me take this one first. So you are going to start 1A, 1B, and then you say has fur, or you can say skin covered in fur. Now another thing I forgot to mention is that if you talk about fur, here has fur, in the second statement you have to disagree with that. So here if it has fur, then it has no fur in the second one. You disagree. It's like the two statements have to be contradicting each other. So no fur here. Now you go back. If you look at all this, which organism here has fur? There is only one. It's only this one. So obviously like that you have identified this already. Now I realized something in that examination. There was an error. There is this 1A, B, and then A, B again. You can see the letters here. I think it was supposed to be A, B, C, and then this one D. It was just an error. It should not really distract you anyways. There's usually a correction made during the examination. So it has fur. Now another thing I have to mention, very very important, if you are given letters in your examination, you do not need to write the name here that it's a goat. No, you use that letter that is provided for you. But if there were no letters, then you can either put your own letters A, B, C, D, and then use those letters, or you write the names there on top. But in this case I'm given letters, so the one that has fur, it's only one. And if you guys don't know what is fur, is the fur, what do I say, this thing here, even on your skin. Humans, we have fur. It's sort of these small hairs here, we call them fur. So the one that has fur out of all these four, it's only this one here, the goat. So you have identified the goat already just at the beginning. This was a simple question paper. And then once you have identified an organism, I always advise my students to cross it out. Cross that organism out that you have identified. It's out like that, it's out. You are only going to focus on the three remaining to identify it. Now, okay, fine. Now, the one that has fur, it's a goat, it's A, you have identified. Now, the one that does not have fur, how many organisms here have no fur? There are three. Obviously, this one doesn't have fur. These ones we call them feathers. These are not fur. Does not have fur, does not have fur. So there are three. So that's why you have to say go to what? All right, so we have identified the first organism. Has fur, go to A, and then has no fur. There are three organisms that do not have fur. So because there are many, you cannot say the organism that has no fur is B or C or D, because there are a lot. So you say go to 2, because there are a lot of organisms that do not have fur. Good. Now when you come to 2, there is one main thing that you need to know. Now remember, we have already identified this one, meaning this one is out of the picture. That's why I always tell my students, cancel this one out that you have identified. Pretend it's not there, because you are done with it. Now deal with these ones on, focusing on the organisms that are here. Now what else can you talk about here? Okay, good. Now you can see there are fins. this fish here has fins, and both of these, they do not have fins, do they? They don't have fins. So that's another thing. To make things easier for yourself, just try to use the obvious thing that is there. I'm going to take fins now. So here I come to 2, and then I talk about organism has fins. Which one has fins? Obviously it's the fish. So I'm going to say has fins, put my dots, I put C. The fish is supposed to be C, A, B, C, D, I assume, because there was an error there in your examination, A, B, A, B. That's just a typing error. And then has fins. Remember, this is out, you are only focusing on these 3. The remaining 3, this is the only one that has fins, so you have identified, cross it out. And then after you say has fins, you do the same thing. 2B has, okay, just say no fins present. And then there are 2, these 2 do not have fins, so you cannot say it's B or D, so you say go to 3. Say go to 3 because they are it's more than one organism that do not have fins, so you have to proceed. Now you come at 3, you do the same, 3A and then 3B. Good. Now you are left with this one, these 2 you are done, you are left with this. Now what can you talk about here? Now do not try to complicate things for yourself. You can see this chicken has feathers, and throughout this dichotomous key so far we have not talked about feathers or anything. So why don't we just use the feathers that we have here to advantage? Organism has feathers, body covered in feathers. You can say that body covered in feathers or with feathers, doesn't matter really. And then which one has feathers here? It's the chicken, so you say B. And then you say body not covered in feathers. So it's just like I said, these 2 statements have to be the opposite of each other. Not covered with feathers. And which one is that one? The remaining one that is not covered with feathers, it's this one, D. It's the only thing remaining. Remember, these 2 are out. Now you are talking about these 2 remaining ones. These 2 organisms, you have identified them, so you are no longer focusing on them. You are only focusing on these 2. This one has feathers, this one does not have feathers. Then you have identified all your organisms, so it's B. And the other one that does not have feathers, it's D. Good, you are done. That's the complete answer for your dichotomous key. And you guys, if you look carefully, a dichotomous key is more like a trail, a road. It's like a guide to the organism. Let's focus on this frog. Where did the frog start? The journey of the frog, it started here. Does the frog has fur? No, it does not. No, it did not have fur. And so you went to 2, and then when you came to 2, does it have fins? No, it did not have fins. You can see this frog does not have fins. And then the body is not does it have a body covered with feathers? No, you disagree. Is the body not covered in feathers? Yes. So your organism there is a frog, or D. I don't know if you understand. I should probably not confuse you guys too much, but it's more like a guide. Just like I said, it's a pathway that leads you to the name or the identity of the organism. So I just wanted to do this one as an example for you guys, and I believe if you look through the question paper that they wrote last year for 2025, they had a question on the dichotomous key. I want you guys to try that one as an activity. Try it out as an activity, and please, you guys, if you do not understand something, please, you guys, you have my number. Just text me on the group. I can clarify, make it easier for you guys. And please remember, do not confuse yourself by watching let's say, a lot of unnecessary videos. Most videos will just make things complicated for you. Most of the time, those teachers online, they teach using the Cambridge curriculum. So just focus on your curriculum. Do not extend things unnecessarily. These are the only things you need to know for your syllabus. You should know how to construct a dichotomous key. It's either you construct it or they are going to provide a dichotomous key, a ready-made dichotomous key, and then you just identify the organism based on the dichotomous key given to you. Sometimes the dichotomous key can also come like this. Ready-made, I mean like this, and then the letters here are missing, and then you read, and then you put on the letters based on the pictures that are there for you. I don't know if you get me, but sometimes the dichotomous key is already made for you, and you just fill in the letters based on the features that you can see from the pictures. But most of the time they ask you to construct your own, and this question, I believe, is it 4 marks? Probably 5 marks or 4. But the main important thing is that your format is correct. If your format is correct in this order, you already earned a mark there. Even if everything that you wrote down here is nonsense, it does not make sense. This is the format you should follow, so you have a mark already. If everything here is wrong, you at least have 1 mark for the format. Alright, so I will conclude this video there. Thank you very much.
Alright, what they talking about? They ain't talking about none. What they talking about? They ain't talking about none. What they talking about? They ain't talking about none. What they talking about? They ain't talking about nothing.